But right now, I assume you're hearing a great deal in your job from all these small businesses in LA and rest of the state, with the governor's COVID regulations, particularly the ban on outdoor dining, which was always, I mean, you can ban outdoor dining in New York in the snowstorm and nobody cares, but you know, we could eat outside. I mean, and we have this wonderful weather. So the question is, how how severely impacted is this world of small businesses? Many of them in LA, probably the majority are minority owned. What are you hearing from out there in the field from these people? And is there any relief on the way?
They are freaking out. You might have been reading about protests. So that's not an everyday thing for business owners to ever be protesting. I mean, it's not a common thing. And you've seen over the last 2 weeks all over the greater LA area, whether it was in the San Fernando Valley, it was in West Hollywood, it was in Culver City, it was everywhere. Literal protests of restaurant owners and employees of restaurants out protesting the closing of outdoor dining. So here's the thing, you can say that that's a targeted area. We would say, where's the data? Where is the science and the public data to say that it's outdoor dining is the source of COVID outbreaks and we have to close it? If anyone could prove that and say it and show it, then we would have to say, okay. The problem is no one can prove or show that outdoor dining is the source of COVID outbreaks. Now, second, that's a tipping point. Always we have these things about how long you can hold on and can you get some help and what do you do? All those restaurants had to spend money out of their pocket to do outdoor dining. None of them were set up in the streets and their parking lots and sidewalks. They all spent money to do that. Now there's zero return on that investment. So now get ready. You're gonna have a whole slew of bankruptcies, business bankruptcies. And what does that mean? Not just that restaurant and those employees, but then the vendors, all those companies and their employees will be left holding zero money. They can't collect on it because they went bankrupt, and a whole ripple effect. So now you're closing not only restaurants, but all the vendors to those restaurants because of this whole slew of bankruptcies that could easily come forward. Now, is that when you don't have any health data to say it's going to even make a difference in the pandemic, which we see the largest spikes today in Los Angeles again, and the restaurants were closed. Anyway, don't get me going on it. People are crazy, sad, emotional, freaked out, losing everything they have, and they really care. And a lot of restaurants are families, as you know, the employees, not literal blood families, but they interact with each other almost as families, the employees and the owners. They're little ecosystems, and it's just devastating.
Well, and for people who are distressed in that way, business people that are just on the edge, they probably recognize that this is a crazy time with the pandemic, but what they appreciate most is at least having an ear of somebody who appreciates what it is that they're going through. And it's one thing to have BizFed and chambers of commerce and all sorts of business groups have empathy for them, but I think they would appreciate having some empathy from the state. And this is what we're concerned about as we see the trend of businesses leaving the state, and that is that the state does not appear to have any empathy to what their issues are. And this is like our largest source of employment. It's the largest contributor to the economy. And it seems like the state is just turning a deaf ear to these things, using the pandemic as the excuse to not have to listen. So that's a concern that we have.